their monthly bulletin, American Association of Retired People. I'm glad to see so many young people in here because we got to start young, right? We can't wait till people, my doctor says I have 3 seconds to live. Can you save me with vitamins? Yeah. Okay. You'd be amazed at how many people I get like that. Oh, I heard your tape 20 years ago. I didn't do anything, and now I got 2 seconds to live. Can you help me? Okay. Okay, so the AARP bulletin, March of this year, the worst place to be in America when you're sick is an American hospital. I took 2 pieces out of the body of the article, and one of which is the number of American patients who die each year from American hospital errors is equal to 4 jumbo jets crashing each week. That's about 1,200 to 1,500 people per week. How many of you would fly commercial airlines if you knew they killed 1,200 to 1,500 passengers every week? Nobody would fly! I must see my doctor. I must see my doctor. And then also, in the same issue, each U.S. surgeon operates on the wrong person, wrong body part as often as 40 times a week. Boy, that brought silence to the room. That's because they're usually intoxicated on alcohol, street drugs, or prescription drugs, and that comes from a 6-year-ago study by Lucien Lepay, who's the head of the Department of Public Health at Harvard Medical School, and he went around and blindly took blood samples from doctors. He just showed up and took blood samples from them, and he ran them, and 52% are intoxicated during their working day on something. That's why they make so many mistakes. It's published stuff from Harvard Medical School. Newsweek magazine cover article. Why is that guy terrified? Well, he's not even anesthetized, and those surgeons are ready to stick him with their scalpels, and that's because if they even touch him with their scalpels before he undergoes anesthesia, they've started their procedure. And if he dies during the induction of anesthesia, which happens quite frequently because they don't turn on the oxygen, and because they're drunk, and he dies, let's say, during the induction of anesthesia, they can run off and play golf for 4 hours and still get paid their $100,000. So they want to start the procedure, right? Now, the one word that will save your life in a hospital is a 2-letter word that every 2-year-old knows. No! Whatever they tell you, you're going to respond by saying no. Now, what is that guy afraid of? I mean, this is a universal fear posture, right? It doesn't matter what language you speak. If you're doing this, you're afraid of something. Now, let's say you're in the hospital, you have 4th-stage cancer. It's gone to the regional lymph nodes, maybe gone from your colon to your lungs. You're in real trouble. They say, look, we've given you 4 rounds of chemotherapy. Nothing seems to be working. But we have this new experimental drug coming out in a couple of weeks, and we want to try it on you. Your response should be, no! Because they know that it's not going to work on you. 97% of the time, chemotherapy doesn't work for cancer. That's published in the Journal of Oncology about 3 years ago. 97% of the time, chemotherapy is useless. But they got to give you something. It'll shrink the tumor a little bit, but you still die. Okay, now, so this experimental drug is going to be the same way. It's going to shrink the tumor a little bit, but you still die. And so what they're asking you to do is to let them use you as a guinea pig to see if just the injection of the drug kills you. Because they have to have 100 patients who will be injected with the drug, and they have to have less than 3 die from the drug itself before they prove it. So they're looking for the village idiot to say, okay, see if I'm the one you're going to kill. So what is he afraid of? Well, there's 7 physicians on the facing page, and I want you to look at their body language and their faces to see if they're coming to him as good Samaritans. They remind me of the Walking Dead series on TV. The doctors of the Walking Dead. And the reason why they're coming for him is he is the only one in the hospital with money. Everybody else is a Medicare patient. They don't have any money. They'll play hockey out there. They'll knock each other down because they want to be the one to get to him to get the money. These are not uncommon things. Usually Reader's Digest is a very chummy magazine with really great stories. You know, the dog drags a kid out of the fire in the house, and the 2-year-old calls 911 and saves grandma from a heart attack. But look at this cover article in 2007. June of 2007. Fatal hospital mistakes! Now, how common is that? Well, in 1999, I made one of my, I don't know, 30 or 36 CDs I have out there. And I have to admit, I used the title of a movie. How many of you have heard of the Ray Milland movie? Some of you are old enough to remember that old Ray Milland movie, Dial M for Murder. Dial M for, it's a great movie. And then it was remade here about 10 years ago or 15 years ago with Michael Douglas. It was called The Perfect Murder. The same storyline, just new technology and stuff to make it modern. But it was the same storyline. All I did was change it by one letter. Instead of saying Dial M for Murder, I said Dial MD for Murder. The doctors didn't like that. They just like went crazy. And in this CD, I read this stuff from this newspaper article. Each year in America, VA medical doctors make 3,000 mistakes, which cost the patient there a limb or an eye, or to stay in the hospital for another 6 months because of infections or whatever. And of those 3,000 mistakes that are inflicted on VA patients every year by VA doctors, the VA doctors kill 700 veterans that have escaped death at the hands of the enemy. So they come home to be treated by our doctors kill them. They come home to be treated by our doctors at the VA hospital, and each year the VA doctors kill 700 of our veterans that went out there to protect us. And the doctors get a walk. They never go to jail because they have a protected monopoly. They can kill, maim, rape, and burn with impunity, and they're untouchable. This came out. It was a full-page story in the USA Today in February 2007. I had to chop it up a little bit to get it in this 8.5 by 11. Look at the title here: Patient, Protect Thyself. Now, the data that I'm going to share with you came from the Journal of the American Medical Association, very, very well-respected journal. Whether you agree with them or not, they are very well-respected. And then the Center for Disease Control, which is a federal agency in Atlanta, Georgia, that looks at this stuff. And what the article said was, each year in America, medical doctors kill, injure, and infect 15 million of their customers at their workplace. They get a walk. They don't even get an OSHA ticket. Each year in America, medical doctors kill, injure, and infect 15 million of their customers at their workplace. 5.8 million in hospitals and 9.2 million in private offices and clinics. How many of you would fly commercial airlines if you knew that they killed, injured, and infected 15 million passengers every year? Nobody would fly. This is one of my favorites. Each year in America, medical doctors inflict 2 million infections on hospital patients. Of those 2 million infections, 90,000 die. They kill 90,000 people each year just from infections that they inflict on the patient. Now, how can that happen? Well, that's because they wear the same white coat, the same pantyhose, the same trousers, the same shoes from room to room to room, dragging pee, poop, blood, pus, snot, gunk, viruses, bacteria, everything you can think of. By contrast, in a pig barn, by federal law, you're required to disinfect your boots when you go from one pig pen to the next because you want to be dragging swine flu with you. We treat pigs better than we do people. We treat pigs in a barn better than we do people in a hospital. Now, I want you to think about this. If Iran were to ship over one of their intercontinental ballistic missiles, which they're always testing, with a WMD, a weapon of mass destruction, that was a biological weapon, a bioweapon with viruses and bacteria in it that would kill 90,000 people. Let's say they lobbed that thing right into Minneapolis and killed 90,000 people in a couple of weeks or a month. What we do? Well, we declare war. We just go over there and flatten that country into rubble, kill a lot of people. You know, oh, please say you're sorry. No, probably not. Would we sue them and say, we want some retribution. We want $1 million per person for every one you kill? Probably not. We declare war and we go kill them all. Well, here you have doctors that kill 90,000 every year, just simply because they don't wash their hands after they go potty. Yummy, yummy. Now, how can I say that? Well, this came out in August, about almost exactly 2 months ago. Tomorrow will be 2 months ago. One bacteria causes 30,000 deaths in hospitals every year. That's 1/3 of the 90,000, right? There's one bacteria, C. diff, it's Clostridium differentians, which is only found in human poop. It's a human poop bacteria. It's a human feces bacteria. It comes only from doctors and nurses not washing their hands patient to patient to patient. To show you how concerned they are about it, doctors, in 1993 there were 85,700 cases of C. diff infections in hospitals reported, and by 2010 it went up 400% to 346,800. Is it getting better or worse? Well, the numbers work. It's getting worse. So when do you say enough is enough? When do you get pissed off enough to say enough is enough? We're not going to use you guys anymore. Don't you think, remember when that Toyota, there was 60 people got killed. 60 people got killed in was it 4 years or 5 years from Toyota's accelerator problem? 12 people a year. I mean, it was a big hoo-ha. I mean, everybody's suing for billions of dollars, front page stories. It was a mess. Here we have one trade in their workplace. They kill 90,000 from infections every year because they don't wash their hands after they go potty. Nobody cares. That's because they have a protected monopoly. Are you beginning to get a picture here? Now, this is another one of my favorites because I got some very famous examples to show you. Hospital care fatal for some patients. Well, that's kind of fatal, you know, vanilla. Results of Medicare study alarming. Well, that's alarming. Well, the study was done by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Inspector General. Office of Inspector General. Well, that's the auditor for Medicare. What they said was each month in America, medical doctors kill 15,000 Medicare patients with non-invasive procedures. Each month, medical doctors kill 15,000 Medicare patients from non-invasive procedures. How many of you would fly commercial airlines if you knew they killed 15,000 seniors a month? Especially if you're a senior. I ain't going on that plane, man, I'm driving. Well, let's look at some famous people that they've killed who are seniors. How about Andy Rooney? Anybody remember Andy Rooney from 60 Minutes? Sunday afternoons, kind of a TV show? Well, he retired almost exactly a year ago. In October of last year, he retired. He's 92 years old, and he and his wife were going to go on this world cruise. And so they decided they were going to go in for a physical in case they needed to take some medication with them. They didn't want to be out in the ocean for 6 months and have to go to some doctor in a foreign country that they didn't know and all that kind of stuff. And so the doctor for Andy Rooney, he's kind of leafing through his medical records, and he said, Andy, you're 92 years old here, and I can't find where you've ever had a colonoscopic exam. I mean, there could be cancer lurking around in there. And of course, he had no symptoms, no bleeding in his bowel movements, no pain, no weight loss. He's happy as a clam, waiting to go on his cruise. And what he should have said was, no! But instead, what he said was, okay, because he didn't want to offend the doctor in a white coat and a stethoscope. So the doctor sticks a garden hose up his rump, punctures his intestine. 3 days later, he's dead from peritonitis, a belly infection. Nothing wrong with the guy, and the doctor kills him. Now, they didn't name the doctor. They didn't name the hospital because if the hospital and the doctor's name went out, I mean, my God, it would interrupt their cash flow. Everybody would cancel. It would be a mess, right? So they're not going to name those guys. Now, what makes this really bad is, in here, the cause of death is listed. You go online and look at Andy Rooney obituary, and you'll find him. They always say, Mr. Rooney died of complications of a minor medical procedure. Well, wasn't minor for him. It killed him. Doctor gets a walk. Hospital gets a walk. How many of you heard of Dick Clark, you know, American Bandstand? Okay. He went in for an outpatient procedure. He was supposed to be having the procedure 11, done by 11:30, out in the golf course by 1 o'clock. That's what he was told. Now, what he was going to have was one of those little rotor-rooter things on his prostate gland because he'd have to stand in front of the toilet for 2 or 3 minutes before he could get a urine stream going. So instead of coming to me and getting it fixed with nutrition, it's a simple nutritional problem, instead of getting it fixed with nutrition, he opts for the scientific thing, let's do surgery and rotor-root it out. Starts at 11 o'clock as scheduled, 11:30 he's dead. He died of a coronary thrombosis. That happens to 30,000 men each year within an hour after the procedure. Now, there's another 200,000 each year that have a stroke or a coronary thrombosis, but they don't die. 30,000 of them die every year from that procedure. I'll show you that fact in a minute. Now, how do you remember a guy by the name of Neil? Anybody remember Neil? I'll give you one more piece of the name. How about Neil Armstrong? How many remember Neil Armstrong? Our top astronaut, right? The first guy to step foot on the moon. He saved, single-handedly, he saved 2 NASA missions. Saved the spacecraft, saved 2 crews. It was a mess. That he saved NASA from a terrible disaster 2 times. So he's 82 years old. He goes in for his physical. They say, Neil, you're 82 years old. We've never seen a specimen like you. He's 82 years old. You're as fit as can be. That NASA program must be really great. But we did find one little thing we're concerned about. You have a blocked artery. You got a 30% blockage in a coronary artery. Now, it's not dangerous now. You don't even have symptoms. No, I don't have any chest pain or anything. No angina. Okay, you're not breathless. No, he said, I can run 20 miles every day, no problem. Okay, well, you're fit now. And what we're proposing is we don't wait for 5 years until it's 70% blocked or 85% blocked. We don't wait until you have a heart attack in the middle of the night and you die on the way to the hospital. You're fit now, and all we want to do is go in there and put a stent in there, do a bypass, and you'll never have to worry about a heart attack. I mean, we're lucky we found it early. Yes, sir. Good naval airman. Let's go for it. Well, what did Neil die from? He didn't die of a heart attack. He died from complications resulting from cardiovascular procedures. See, the story was not all the wonderful things that Neil Armstrong did in his life. That was not the story. The headline should have been, "Doctors kill top astronaut." But since they have a protected monopoly, they killed him, and they're hiding. You don't know who the doctor was that killed him. But if it had been a successful thing, that it had this news conference and all the white coats and stethoscopes, and, oh yeah, it was a very difficult thing, and we saved the astronaut, and how wonderful. My name is Dr. So, here's my 800 number, you can call me for appointments, and it would have been a big hoo-ha, right? But since they killed him, they're not going to let you know who they are. Are you beginning to get a picture here? So if they can kill an Andy Rooney, a Dick Clark, and Neil Armstrong, and another couple of 100,000 people each year who are nameless because they're not famous. Michael Jackson, there's another one. Stupid Dr. Murray.